we forget this, but there was a time when some of the most beloved wrestling figures that are now pretty like universally beloved at the time were not by a certain segment of fans, of insider fans, newsletter reading fans, smart fans, whatever you want to call them. And that's happened all through, the last 40 years of wrestling history. There's people now who at the time were not thought of as highly as they are now. Dusty Rhodes is another example. He had a lot of critics and detractors back in the day when he was active in the business. And now, that view has sort of really become silenced, and he's much more universally beloved now, all these years later. There's a lot of that. Even if you go back to the early observers and things, Dave is critical even of Gordon Soley, for example, as a commentator, and I mean he's generally considered to be the greatest of all time now by a large number of fans who were around at the time. And Gorilla was like that too. He won in the Wrestling Observer newsletter. He won worst announcer, something like 6 or 7 times, which is the record holder still. And this is baffling to a lot of fans, the idea of that. And for example, um, you know, the there's a segment of fans I think that feel this way, but a lot of times these opinions I think exist in a vacuum or a bubble, and it's important to understand that that is and always was a tiny fraction of wrestling fandom. That if you talk to the overwhelming majority of people who grew up watching the WWF in the 80s and 90s, that Gorilla Monsoon has a very dear place in their heart. So I'm hoping that now, all these years later, with nostalgia, with those younger fans getting older, and hopefully with the help of my book, that he'll get in easily, because he's one of those names that people see on that ballot sometimes and they can't understand how he's not already in.